Welcome back to Area DMG. I am your host, Opasita, a Mile High Mouth, and today we're going to talk about the CirclePad Pro and how it pertains to the 3DS family of systems. Now, the CirclePad Pro, or SlidePad expansion in Japan, was released alongside Monster Hunter 3G, otherwise known as Monster Hunter Ultimate in the United States. 3 Ultimate in the United States. It was released in Japan on December 10th, 2011, and on February 7th, 2012 in North America. This was sold separately, but it was a GameStop exclusive. This was a GameStop exclusive, and it came out around the same time as Resident Evil Revelations, which is a game that uses this one. And then the 3DS XL version, or the 3DS LL version, came out a little bit later and is sold exclusively through Nintendo's website. Now, here's what the system does. On a handful of games, there's about 20 or 30 of them actually. Games like Resident Evil Revelations, Metal Gear Solid 3D, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Kid Icarus, Codename Steam, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, One Piece Unlimited World, and Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, to name a few. It uses this. If you're playing it on a 3DS, you slide your normal 3DS into this little unit. It blocks off where you put your games, but it doesn't block off the ability to charge it. It makes it a little difficult to access the R button. So there's an R button on this thing, and it adds a second control pad to it. This makes it easier for some games like Resident Evil to play through it, because you can have your weapons attached to here, and your secondaries attached to here, and then camera movement attached to this CirclePad. The CirclePad Pro and the CirclePad LL Pro both of these use one AAA battery. You can use a coin to take this battery thing off, or in this demonstration we're just going to use a screwdriver. It takes one AAA battery, and that AAA battery lasts about 480 hours, or the equivalent of 20 days of continuous use. This is the CirclePad this is a CirclePad Pro for the standard 3DS. And this is a CirclePad Pro for the larger 3DS, or the LL or XL. As you note, they both strap onto it, and what it does is, when you're using it on a 3DS, the little IR port right here communicates with an IR port right here. One thing that's a little bit, they just kind of slide into place and lock into place. One thing that's a little disconcerting is that you can't take the game out while this is attached, and you can't access your stylus. However, they add all sorts of neat little, they add kind of a grip to it, and they add the ZL and ZR buttons, as well as the CirclePad. What's interesting about these in particular, let's put that there, is that, like with this one, this is where you can access the audio, but you couldn't access anything else. You couldn't even get the stylus from there. But of course, what's kind of interesting about these is they never made a CirclePad Pro for the Nintendo 2DS. However, it can support it. So there are people who will buy this version and then solder off these edges and then just slide it in like that. If you extend this part a little bit, you can use the CirclePad Pro on the 2DS. I kind of feel that it's a shame they didn't make a 2DS CirclePad Pro, because then they could have moved like the ZR button and ZL button all the way down here, which would be a much more which would be kind of an interesting setup. They could have put like the second control stick right around here, and that would have been perfect. Sadly, they didn't make one for that. But people who modify these have been able to make this type of one, or the one for the LL, work on the 2DS. Now, with the new 3DS XL and the new 3DS, they've replaced these, the use of these, with these. The new 3DS has a little control nub over here that on games that use the Circle Pad Pro, this is the same as this. And then, of course, it has ZR and ZL right over here. Personally, I would love it if they made some type of thing for a Circle Pad Pro so I could use it as a grip, and it something that would relocate these buttons. In fact, there's a grip for the 2DS that actually relocates the L and the R buttons here down to here, and it's darn comfortable. Some interesting things to note is that the original 3DS Circle Pad Pro had a little warning up here. It says, attach the wrist strap to the Nintendo 3DS and wear it when using this accessory. And so, the Nintendo 3DS Circle Pad Pro also came with a little wrist strap that you could attach into the wrist strap holes on the 3DS, and you could adjust it like so. This was to keep it attached to you. Now, this is a stand that came with Kid Icarus. These are available separately as well, and they're fantastic. However, if you've got that in, and you have a 3DS inside this, the original 3DS one doesn't really work. It just kind of slides off because the backing of this is kind of, it's fat. It's fat and awkward. Whereas the 3DS XL, they made that a little bit more stable. So you can actually put the 3DS XL Circle Pad Pro on the stand and use it. But why you would want to do this is kind of beyond me, but it's fun that you can. One thing that's kind of sad about the 3DS Circle Pad Pros is that, well, they are kind of they are bulky and they're a little tricky to carry along. Oh, for those wondering, this is not so much of a sticker as it's one of those things where you peel it off and it's a screen cleaner. I attached it to the back there because, why not? It's a great grip. It's actually pretty comfortable. Let's move these around. We need a larger table. Alright, this one's kind of comfortable. But yeah, in that one you're controlling the camera. For example, in Majora's Mask, this controls the camera. In some games like Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, that's available on the eShop, you can select some items and use them by holding down the ZL and ZR button at the same time, as well as selecting them with this. Now, the new 3DS makes the Circle Pad Pro obsolete, and any of the old games that use the Circle Pad Pro on the 3DS will also use it on the new 3DS. These go into sleep mode after a period of inactivity, and in order to wake them up from the sleep mode, you have to hit the ZL and ZR button at the same time to bring them out of sleep. They just take, like I said, one AAA battery, and there's a bunch of games that support them. You can get them for as cheap as, like, I think the 3DS Circle Pad Pro, depending on where you get it, can be as cheap as about $5 used to about $20 brand new. You can order this one, and of course these stands, from Nintendo for about 20 bucks. You can also import the, there was a version of this one and of this one that was made specifically for Monster Hunter 4G. When Monster Hunter 4G came out in Japan, they made a new version of the 3DS Circle Pad, Slide Pad expansion, and the 3DS LL Slide Pad expansion. And what's weird about the new one is it adds an extended grip, and then it moves the Circle Pad from here to here. It moves the ZL button down to about here, and it takes this out completely because it doesn't cover up the R button anymore. Because it doesn't really cover up the R button or make it inaccessible, they removed this. So the newer pads, which I'll have pictures of those in this video, the CirclePad Pro LL slide pad expansion for Monster Hunter 4G for the 3DS LL also moves this over here and then moves the ZR button down to about here, but also makes it a weird little L-shaped button so you can easily grip it. That's because there are a lot of Monster Hunter players who used to play Monster Hunter on the PSP. And when you're playing it on the PSP, you literally had to control your camera with your D-pad. So they would use on the PSP, they would use the circle pad on the analog stick on the PSP to play it, and then they would just kind of hold it like this, a kind of a claw. Now on the CirclePad Pro that they put out in Japan, where it moves this over to here, you hold that like this, and then you move your camera with this finger, and you tap the ZL button with this finger. And so it's a kind of a weird thing. People who play a lot of Monster Hunter will know what I'm talking about. Especially if you played a lot of Monster Hunter Portable 3rd on the PSP. That's the CirclePad Pro. When it was first announced, people were like, that's ridiculous, no one's going to use that. And a lot of companies didn't really use it because to make the CirclePad Pro work on the 3DS and the 3DS LL, it actually requires about 5% of CPU processing because it's sending continuously IR commands to this port back and forth. So it's continually picking up and sending that, and that took a little bit more memory than was feasible at the time. Now with the new 3DS XL and the new 3DS and the ability to not have to worry about sending IR port stuff back and forth between the two, some games that are digital on the new 3DS support CirclePad Pro support, whereas they don't on that. For example, Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS allows you to use the new 3DS nub to do smash attacks, as well as the ZR buttons for activating amiibo functions and other items. Whereas if you're playing, you can't use the CirclePad Pro on Super Smash Bros. Because they found out that the lag between IR between those was just too much. So that's a little bit more about the CirclePad Pro for the 3DS and the CirclePad Pro LL or XL for the 3DS XL, and its relation to the rest of the 3DS family. There are pictures of the other ones I mentioned in this video. If you like this kind of video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. If you like our stuff, go ahead and subscribe. Comment below. I'm your host, Philip Wesley, the Mile High Mouth, and you are now caught up.